everybody. My name is Curtis Johnson, and I am your host for Knockin Hard. So this is episode 1. I'll kind of give you a lay of the land, what we're going to cover, what I am intending to achieve here with this podcast, a little bit about my background, things of that nature, and we're going to keep these short. There's no point in really, I'm not going to try and cover news. I'm not going to try and cover, trends in the market, not as my main concept. Will we touch on some of those as relevant to what we're talking about? Of course. But the whole idea here is knocking hard. What does that mean? The whole concept of this is there is this term out there, the School of Hard Knocks, the business school of hard knocks, which is over the years of one's business career, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and that's out in the real world, in the School of Hard Knocks, because the world has a tendency to hit you hard, and you learn from that impact so you can improve, get better, and hopefully not get hit the same way more than 2 or 3 times. If you can avoid that, that's ideal. So we're going to talk about some of these hard knocking points. What are things you should avoid? What are things you're inevitably going to hit, and how you should react when you hit them? All of that good stuff. So I think we're going to cover some fun stuff. For starters, who am I? My name, again, is Curtis Johnson, and I have been in the area of operations, sales, marketing for the last 14 years of my, call it, business career. I've worked with large corporations. I've worked with small mom and pop companies. I've had my own sales organization. I was in the insurance industry, had a small agency, call it, of 30 to 40 licensed reps, managing their day-to-day operations as well as running my own. So I've touched on a lot of different industries. I've done a lot of different things. And in that time, I've screwed up a lot. I've done a lot of things absolutely terribly, and I've done a lot of things well, in my opinion. And the most recent of these ventures and what we're working on right now, I am the chief strategy officer for a company called Better. Better is it's a unique platform. It is a distribution platform, you could call it. What we're really finding we're honing in on is the B2B space. There are a lot of companies out there that have access to amazing solutions. We have a lot that you might call it 1%er type solutions. The 1% of the wealthiest people in this country, in the world, have access to solutions, I think we all agree on this, that most people just never even get exposed to. They handle their finances differently. They operate differently. They have a manual, call it, that most people don't get access to. And we have been fortunate enough to get connected with some of those companies that the 1% or enterprise level solutions have available to them on a day-to-day basis that really give them an edge that make it, let's call it what it is, unfair. Small and medium businesses don't have access to these strategies, so everything's more expensive for them. Everything's a little bit more challenging. Sure, people look at corporate America and go, there's a lot of red tape there that small, medium businesses don't have access to. So it's true that speed of operation is the advantage of a small, medium-sized business, but all of the roadblocks that they keep hitting over and over and over. Think of a runner. Think of if a runner has to run through a wall every 10, 20 feet. Well, imagine removing those walls. That's really what Better is all about. If we can give small and medium-sized businesses the ability to run in an open track, just like the big dogs, but they can go faster, they have a chance to, take some of their lunch, call it. And that's what Better is all about. The beauty of the country that we live in, the United States of America, for anyone who's watching not in America, I get it. Somehow get here legally. But the point is that we became what we are today as a nation because of our free market economy. The ability of no particular industry to have a monopoly. Some might say that there are many monopolies in this country, but the whole point is that what got us to where we are is that lack of a monopoly and the presence of competition. Well, if the small and medium businesses can't compete, what's the point? So we are in our corner of the world working to facilitate competition, call it. And that's really what we're all about as a platform. And it's interesting because how I've gotten to this point in my own life is through a lot of failures. Those failures have either taught me lessons, or along the way I've met people that really have shaped who I am today, and I've learned a lot along this process. And I'm going to do my best in these shorter podcasts to teach you a little bit of what I've learned along the way, give you some tips, tricks, methods of operating so you hit fewer of those brick walls along the way, in terms of, some brick walls are put in front of you, some of them you put in front of yourself. So remove some of the brick walls that you put in front of yourself, and then tell you how to handle brick walls maybe that other companies, the marketplace put in front of you. There are also some great solutions that we have with Better, some great solutions that I've come across in my business, marketing, sales life that you really should take advantage of. So, and this is also going to be an open forum. There's going to be solutions that you guys put in the comments, that you tag or mention, that I probably don't know anything about. And I'm excited to learn as much from you guys as hopefully I can provide value to you. So this is going to, as much as humanly possible, be an interactive process. I don't think that I know everything that you guys out there don't know. There will be things that I say that you're going to call bullshit on, and do it. Please, I want to come out of this much stronger, and as a community as a whole. Again, we are competing, but don't forget there's a whole set out there, set of companies, set of individuals that play by a whole different set of rules. So if we can help each other, even if we're not strictly speaking allies, maybe we're a little bit competition, we should all do our best to remember that the majority of the competition out there is really not the people who are going to be watching a podcast like this. They'll probably never be watching a podcast. They're playing by, again, a totally different set of rules. So I want to talk about today. Hold on, how long have I been going? Like a couple minutes. I think we're done with all intros here. I'm going to cover one topic to kick off today that I've learned over the course of, again, the last 14 years of diving in. And it's very important because we're in the distribution side right now. We have a number of companies that provide a unique service. Some of them might be in the benefit space. So maybe it more applies to a large company, or at least a company with some employees. Some of you out there are probably solopreneurs and you don't have employees. You just have you and your family, or it's just you. Well, benefits, sure, they apply there as well, but that's one section. Some of these are they really are, call it sales enhancements or marketing enhancement tools or services. Some of them are in the area of tax and financial. We're not really touching on any of the investment side. That's not really our thing. But are you paying way too much in taxes as a company? What strategies are you using to better market? These areas are wide and broad, but what I want to get across in this particular episode is that not all of them are right for the stage of business you're in right now. So as an example, I laid out a number of stages that a business could be in, and again, this is where I hope you guys give me stages that I'm overlooking, and these are just jotted down as general points. Do they have perfectly defined lines? No, they usually blend one into the other. But let's call it the first one. The first stage of business is really establishing what your product or service is. A lot of people try and jump straight to getting clients. I remember I did this one time. I was in the middle of the very beginning of my insurance journey, and I was like, you know what? I want to be a consultant. I want to consult for businesses. And I went to some of my insurance companies, insurance clients that were business owners, had companies of their own. And I went, I'm going to help expand your business and grow your business. And they're like, great. We love working with you on the insurance side. What do you offer? And I'm sitting there going, well, shit, I didn't think of that part. I should probably have figured out what is it that I'm actually trying to sell these guys? What do I bring to the marketplace? What do I bring to clients, prospective clients, that they actually need? What do I do that is unique? And I think that I got this particular point first time I heard it was with Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone talks about in some of his sales books, you need to have or make clear what your unique value add is as a company. What do you do that someone can look at and go, yeah, that's different than Joe Blow down the street? I remember there's also a quote out of Billions. He's talking to his wife, and it was probably not the nicest thing he's ever said. In fact, he was kind of a bit of an asshole in it, but Axelrod is talking to his wife, who the next season divorces him and takes his kids. But he says to her, what do you do that's unique at all? What do you do that's different than anyone else down the street that does something that they claim is exactly the same? So you need to establish, just like he's talking about in that TV show, or Grant Cardone's talking about in one of his many books, you need to establish, what do you do that's actually unique? Before you really can even get to that, you should probably ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? But what am I actually good at? What is it that I do that someone else would want a piece of, or that service, right? So that would be step one. Once you've established that and you're like, I think I've nailed down for at least myself what it is, you're going to have to pull together a couple beginning pieces, but realize you've now just shifted into the next stage. The next stage is really, you need to learn how to sell or market your service. Part of this is, okay, I'm now going to pull together a sales presentation, or I'm going to hone in my pitch. What's my script to introduce what I'm doing? What is my initial, call it elevator pitch? If I'm sitting across from my ideal prospect, my ideal client, what am I going to say to him that's going to hit? Call it a pain point for that prospective client. What am I going to say to him that's going to make him go, oh, wait a second, I'm going to stop now and listen to what you have to say. Or I'm going to set up an actual appointment where we're going to go through some of this stuff. This is that next stage. Part of that is going to be your marketing. People get a little bit caught up in having a logo or their colors, and that is fine because branding is very important. But you have to know what you're branding. What do we offer to the marketplace? How do I communicate that? And then, very important point, who am I communicating it to? What is my ideal customer profile? You've probably heard the term ICP out there. If you haven't, it's definitely a term. When we get into corporate sales, our B2B corporate sales guys go, what's my ICP? What's the ICP I'm going after? Who am I talking to? What is the customer profile? What is the avatar is another term that gets thrown around out there a lot, of who is my customer? What makes them tick? What do they look like? What kind of car do they drive? You're getting into trying to understand, the term I guess would be like the psychology of that person that you're selling to. Because if you understand that, you can now communicate to them. You can find what they like and don't like, and hopefully your product or service fits within that. Okay, so once you've done that, this third stage is very eloquently stated as you're now figuring your shit out. Because let's face it, you're now going to break probably everything. You're going to get someone in the door and you're going to think, oh, every client comes in through the front door, and then someone's going to jump in through the window and you're going to go, well, shit, I don't have a lock on that window. Or I don't know how to handle a customer that has that particular characteristic. So now you're going through this, the what can feel like a roller coaster while you, again, figure your shit out. You're looking at this and you're going, okay, if a customer comes in this way, how do I pivot? How do I change up what I'm doing to accommodate? This is where you're really working on your operations. So if you go through some of the stages in the very beginning, you're figuring your shit out. Now you're going, okay, how can I deliver this? Do I have the personnel to carry this out? Can I do it just myself, or do I need staff? And now you're looking at this going, okay, how do I sell it? Now I go and I look at it and I go, okay, can I at least make some money doing it? And now you're at that point of I'm making money. I've sold it to someone. Now I need operations. I need to make sure that this thing ticks, that this thing works, that I can actually deliver what I've promised and sold, right? So that's that operation stage. Next, you got to make sure that there's a couple pieces in here. There's the usual, and then there's the crazy, weird world that is business. You've got all these venture capitalist world. You've got the private equity world. We're going to, for a moment, not talk about that because one, for starters, I'm no expert in that area. I'm talking about boots on the ground. How do I build a business from scratch? Okay. So that's what we're talking about here. So I'm going to pretend that those rules, we're not going to talk about those at all. We're going to talk about, I've now got I'm selling. What am I going to do next? I've sold. I'm starting to deliver. You are going to have to go through this process where you're kind of going to be vacillating between delivering and figuring out, am I profitable? Do I need to increase my price? Am I actually charging too much that I'm driving clients away? You're going to be jumping back and forth in that stage, figuring out how to hone in on profitability. Once you start getting that down, now you're going to get to the point where, call it, you're going to start getting legitimate. You need to start ensuring that the service that you deliver is of high quality. You are doing, in different ways, quality control. You're making sure that what you deliver to your client is what they want, that they're happy. Because you're going to learn this over time. If you can get a referral, one that costs you very little money, if they're really happy, you ask for a referral, they give it to you. In most cases, there's no financial transaction at all. Think of how you would have had to get that client otherwise. If you're doing it, with, relations and that's how you're starting, great. But at a certain point, you're probably going to have to start marketing. You're going to have to start advertising. That costs money. If you can go get a free client, usually that is only coming to you if you actually know that the customers or the clients that you are bringing in the door like what you have. And that is through this process of providing more value, making sure that what you're giving them gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner so that they like it more and more and more. You also have to make sure that as you do this, obviously you're starting to get into this world of scaling. Once you start scaling, maybe it's in terms of staff, because maybe you've done the marketing part well enough that you're going, shoot, I can't do all this myself. So you start bringing in staff. Well, again, you've got the product itself and improving the quality of the product, but then you also have to look at the thing that's delivering that product. The person who's actually, let's say it's in graphic design, the graphic designer has to actually be able to achieve the quality of product that a customer will want. Okay. So in order to do that, you have to improve the quality of the graphic designer over time. So this is where you're getting into this, call it get it legitimate, improve your quality stage. This is also where you're going to have to really start looking at this thing and make sure your books are tight. You got to know that you're actually profitable. Can I achieve a quality product that a customer wants at a rate that I can live, breathe, survive, hire staff? You're going through that process, okay? Now, at this point, let's say you're nailing this. First off, this stage never ends. Every stage I've laid out here never stops. You are constantly going back through, okay, what's the product? Do I need to add a simpler product to, call it an entryway product to get them to my main, service, whatever it is? You're constantly going through this process. So don't think once you get through that first stage, you're done. Now you're going back through it again. But once you're at this point, you're at scaling. You're looking at this going, how do I go after new markets? How do I go after new client types? How do I go and get a broader audience so I can filter out of that broad audience my ideal audience for my main product or service? These are the stages of business. Once you get to this point, you should have staff. You should be scaling. You should be having different types of problems. What I'm going to cover in this podcast, in part, are some solutions and where you should be applying them in terms of your stage of business and where you shouldn't give a crap about how much you can avoid paying taxes if you're not even making enough money to even care about that. You need to focus on the solutions that fit into your specific stage. So we covered episode 1 here, stages of your business. I hope this is valuable. And I want you guys to tell me if it's not. I'm going to ignore you in the beginning. Obviously, I'll answer you, but I'm not going to care what you say because let's be honest, everyone gets hated for starting something new, and usually it's because the person that's making the comment doesn't have the guts to do it themselves. Some of you will have a disagreement with what I'm saying, and that's what I want. I want to hear your disagreements. I want to hear your comments, your critiques, your value you can add. I don't want just negativity. I want some of your positivity too, so we can have anyone who reads through the comments, have anyone who watched this content improve and get better. So that is ultimately what I want from everyone. like, comment, share, all the usual good stuff. This is going to be a journey, and I hope that we can all learn it together and have fun together. Again, this is Curtis Johnson, episode 1 of Knockin Hard. We are the tagline, what I learned in business school, what I learned in the business school of hard knocks. I guarantee in the next couple episodes I'll nail that down, but right now we're on a journey together. Thank you so much for being part of episode 1, and I will see you next time. Take care.